Formula One might look like pure speed and glamour on the surface, but behind the roaring engines and champagne showers lies a rulebook full of bizarre, ultra-specific, and sometimes downright hilarious regulations. These rules are so weird that they make you question the sanity of stewards. So today, we're diving into 12 of the strangest, most head-scratching rules F1 has ever come up with. Here, I will not talk about obvious rules like 2 cars and 4 drivers limit for every team, because I know you already know these boring rules. But I will delve into some crazy rules of Formula One, such as banning drivers from celebrations and controlling the color of podium carpets. So, buckle up for a crazy ride. Hit like, smash subscribe, and I will see you in the next sector. Drivers can't reverse in the pit lane. Imagine missing your parking spot by a few inches and being forced to retrieve your car. That's F1. We all know that drivers have to stop at their pit box during the race to change their tires. F1 has given them a designated spot where they have to stop so that engineers can change the tires within 2.5 seconds. So, stopping a few inches before or after your designated pit spot can cause problems for engineers. On top of this, F1 stewards have given a weird rule to every driver. They can't reverse in their pit lane if they miss their point. Only their crew can push their car back. A real example occurred at the 2016 European Grand Prix in Baku when Lewis Hamilton missed the entry to the pit lane and asked if he could reverse. His race engineer immediately told him no. Had he done it, he would have faced a penalty or even disqualification. You can get penalized for celebrating. You achieve your dream, become a world champion, and are not allowed to celebrate. This is the second weird rule of Formula One. According to FIA rules, drivers must return straight to Parc Fermé after the race, and any detour for victory laps, crowd waves, donut breaks, or impromptu flag grabbing can result in a fine or reprimand. So, you have to be very careful when you are overjoyed with happiness. We're just getting started, and trust me, they only get weirder from here. But real quick, what's one F1 rule you've always found confusing or unnecessary? Drop it in the comments while we keep going. Swearing is not allowed. You are in a life and death situation. Pressure is at its peak, your engineers are messing up with your brain, and FIA has restrained you from swearing. This is a disaster for hot-headed drivers such as Yuki Tsunoda. FIA holds drivers to a high standard of sporting conduct and public behavior, especially because F1 is a global sport watched by millions, including kids. If a driver lets an F-bomb slip in a post-race interview or live radio broadcast, they can receive a formal warning, fine, or even a reprimand. That's why Max Verstappen got an earful from his team after winning his first championship. He was happy, dropped a casual curse word, and FIA gave him an angry glare. Follow the Schumacher rule. This is the most controversial rule of Formula One that has an interesting history. In Monaco, 2006, Michael Schumacher parked his Ferrari at Rascasse Corner during the final moments of Q3. He claimed he locked up and went off, but conveniently this blocked the track and prevented rival Fernando Alonso from completing a faster lap. The stewards weren't fooled. They believed it was intentional, and Schumacher's pole position was deleted, sending him to the back of the grid. This incident gave birth to the Schumacher rule that prevented drivers from stopping on the track without any mechanical or serious problem. If they do it, their lap time will be deleted and they will have to go back. Rear-view mirrors must work. In Formula One, every car is required to have 2 functioning rear-view mirrors. Even though at 300 km per hour, they're often about as useful as trying to look through a foggy bathroom mirror while being chased by a jet. The mirrors must meet strict size and visibility standards, and during car inspections, the FIA even tests them to make sure the driver can actually see behind. But the funny part here is that due to vibrations, aerodynamic turbulence, and tiny mirror size, most drivers complain they can barely see anything in them anyway. Fernando Alonso once sarcastically said his mirror was great for watching Netflix, not for racing, after nearly colliding with a car he never saw coming. Despite their near uselessness in practice, if a mirror is broken or missing, the car can be black flagged for safety reasons. You must use 2 tire compounds. FIA makes sure your tires also become your rivals during the race. We all know soft tires are fastest and ideal for drivers in dry conditions. But they can't choose it and chill throughout the race. In fact, they have to switch their tires mid-race. Otherwise, there would be disqualification or a penalty. Now, why does the FIA have this rule? Well, it is good for creating chaos on the grid and increasing unpredictability in the race. The podium carpet should be grey. In F1, even the color of the floor you stand on after winning is tightly controlled. Its regulations actually dictate the color of the podium carpet. It must be a dark grey shade, not red, blue, or anything flashy. Because the FIA wants a neutral and consistent aesthetic for global broadcast and sponsorship visuals. A red carpet might look celebratory, but in F1 it's a branding nightmare. It got weird in 2023 when Las Vegas went rogue and used a purple podium carpet for its glitzy debut. The F1 officials were not happy with this and gave a warning to all race organizers. You can get a penalty for colliding, even if it's not your fault. In F1, you could get hit by someone else and still be blamed for rejoining unsafely. The stewards assess every crash based on things like racing room, intent, and track conditions. But the final verdict often leaves fans and drivers scratching their helmets. Sometimes a driver who got hit ends up penalized for something like unsafe re-entry or over-aggressive defense. This rule caused the rivalry between Verstappen and Hamilton, who clashed during the Silverstone 2021 race. Verstappen's car kissed the wall, and Hamilton received a 10-second penalty. Though Verstappen was the victim, he suffered more than Hamilton, who won the race even after this collision. Jewelry is not allowed. In Formula 1, you can race at 300 kilometers per hour, survive G-forces, and dive bomb at corners. But heaven forbid you wear a nose ring while doing it. The FIA's jewelry rule bans drivers from wearing metallic accessories like earrings, chains, watches, and even wedding rings during on-track sessions. The logic behind this rule is purely medical and safety related. In the event of a crash, metallic jewelry can heat up during a fire, causing burns or interfere with medical procedures, such as the removal of helmets or the use of defibrillators. Even small piercings can complicate a rescue operation if they get snagged or block access to the driver's face and head. It's the FIA's way of ensuring that no accessory, however tiny, gets in the way of treatment during a life-threatening situation. Though this rule was available for years, in 2022, FIA became strict on it. This didn't sit well with Lewis Hamilton, who loved his nose ring. In protest, he turned up to a press conference decked out like a jewelry store. The FIA rolled their eyes and eventually gave him a medical exemption. Even gloves are regulated. In F1, forgetting your gloves can cause you to miss the race, because these gloves are not the ordinary ones. In fact, these are biometric gloves that contain sensors tracking heart rate, blood oxygen levels, and hand movement during the race. Engineers in the garage can monitor every second of their driver's health, which is quite creepy. But important too. These high-tech gloves were introduced after safety concerns from past crashes, like Jules Bianchi's in 2014. These sorts of accidents forced the FIA to introduce these gloves in 2018. Since then, they have become a mandatory part of F1 drivers' lives. No refueling during the race. This rule's nickname is Senna's qualifying fuel rule. Cars should have full tanks at the beginning of the race so that they don't have to refill their fuel during the race. FIA came up with this rule during the 1980s when Senna deliberately kept low fuel in his car to have the fastest lap. This gave him a benefit as his car didn't have any extra load. Seeing this strategy, other teams also started doing it, but this became a problem. A lot of cars ran out of fuel during the race, forcing track delays or red flags. The FIA eventually said, "All right, enough of the fuel roulette," and introduced a rule. After qualifying, each car must return to the pits under its own power and have at least 1 liter of fuel left for sampling. Fail to meet that and your qualifying time disappears like your fuel gauge. Just ask Lewis Hamilton, who got pole in Spain 2012, only to be sent to the back because his car didn't have enough juice left to prove it wasn't running unicorn-grade race fuel. No bathroom breaks. Driving an F1 car isn't just about bravery, but it is about bladder control too. Once drivers are strapped into their cars for a race, there's no pausing for a pit stop of the other kind. The cockpit is tight, the suit is sealed, and the race is relentless. So, what happens if nature calls mid-race? Well, David Coulthard once confessed that he wet his suit because he was desperate for a bathroom break, and couldn't get one because he was in the middle of a grid war. That's why drivers have to plan ahead, stay hydrated but not too hydrated, and hope for a dry run in every sense. Alright, which of these rules completely caught you off guard? Was it the jewelry ban, no fuel stops, or the bathroom situation? Let me know in the comments, because honestly, F1 might just be the most glamorous rulebook on wheels. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next sector.